What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to my channel where reality, mystery, and the strange collide. Okay, this next one here is gonna be about a young man named Jay Polhill, and this man is also 20 years old, just like Trevor. For my last post. This guy pretty much disappeared the same way, I would imagine, but I'm going to read it here just so you guys can get a good idea of what I'm talking about. He went missing on 12/28/2010 at around, it was PM time. Apparently, they don't know exactly what time it was he vanished, so it just said PM. This happened, of course, once again in Chicago, Illinois. Like I said before, he was around 20 years old when he disappeared. Now, the following headline appeared in the August 22nd, 2011 Chicago Tribune. And I believe it's this one right here. This is Mr. Polhill right here. Okay, this is a flyer that his parents and brother put up all around town in Chicago, Illinois. Okay, it says here, like I said, 2011 Chicago Tribune, and I believe it explains the case succinctly. Jay Polhill's death is a mystery spanning 20 miles and 18 months. How Jay Polhill's body turned up far from his downtown Columbia dorm baffles police as much as how he died. Jay was a grounded, funny, and super smart college junior majoring in photography at Columbia College in downtown Chicago. He was born and raised 125 miles northwest of Chicago in the small town of Lena. He was an athlete and competed on the wrestling and track teams. He worked his way through school by bagging groceries and at Sullivan Foods. Jay wanted to feel the life of the big city and was tiring of the sleepy town of Lena. He applied and was accepted into Columbia to study film. He later changed his major to photography. His friends stated that he always had his camera around his neck and his computer in his bag. Okay, the last confirmed sighting of Jay was on February 28, 2010. He was walking out of his dormitory at 525 State Street with his camera around his neck and his bag over his shoulders. Tiana Sakona, also a Columbia student, was Jay's girlfriend for the last year of his life. She confirmed that they exchanged texts late Sunday afternoon and agreed to meet later that night back at his dormitory. She went to his dorm that night and he didn't show up. There was supposedly one last communication from Jay, as is explained in the article in the Chicago Tribune. At 10 a.m. the next day, Polhill responded to a text sent by his mother. Sent by his mother on Sunday. Sorry, busy night. Way behind, he wrote. Be in touch later. Love you. About 24 hours later, Polhill's body was found. I'm only guessing here, but most sources indicate that Jay went missing on February 28th, Sunday. It would appear that police are not putting much belief into the text that came through the following day to his mom. They may have evidence that it was sent on Sunday and delivered on Monday. This part of the story is a bit unclear. Friends stated that Jay went to a party Sunday night and supposedly notified his girlfriend of that intention later that same evening. the statements and timing of of the text and supposed communication were vague and confusing. 20 miles south of the Columbia campus is the little Calumet River, a small harbor, a small harbor area with old bridges that cross the area on March 2nd, 2010. The body of Jay Polhill was pulled from the river near Stony Island. Not far from the Ford Motor Plant. Jay's laptop, camera, and wallet were missing. More confusing was that he was wearing only a t-shirt, no pants, no shoes. Police were immediately baffled as to how the student got to the south side of Chicago without a car and without telling any friends he was headed in that area. Let's see. The Cook County coroner stated that there were no drugs or alcohol found during the toxicology test. During toxicology testing, they did confirm that Jay had suffered from extensive skull fractures on both sides of his head, and he also had a broken bone in his neck. There were marks on his body consistent with a boat propeller striking him. The cause of death was undetermined. 3 months later, after Jay was found, his family paid $15,000 to hire a private investigator and pathologist to review the Cook County coroner's findings. The family's pathologist reviewed the evidence and believed that Jay was the victim of some type of assault, and it was the assault that led to his death. The family's pathologist and investigator lobbied the Cook County coroner to change her findings. Dr. Mitra Kalakar then changed her findings to homicide, stating that Jay died of drowning coupled with multiple injuries due to assault. Chicago homicide detectives now had the case. They did work it diligently. They canvassed pawn shops in an effort to locate Jay's laptop and camera. They didn't find any leads and never developed a suspect that was publicly identified. They also looked for video footage of Jay. They found none. I traveled from downtown Chicago to the little Calumet River and the location where Jay's body was recovered. This trip was over 20 miles and took 35 minutes by car. Let's see. The region is heavy industrial, large. The region is heavy industrial, large bridges, a Ford plant, and a region known for hazardous waste. The Calumet River flows through a beautiful open space district, many miles south from where Jay was found. The region where they recovered his body, however, is dingy, polluted, and strewn with litter. How Jay ended up in the Calumet from his dormitory downtown is another incident that makes zero sense. His body was found within a mile of Lake Michigan, but in a section of the Little Calumet. When I finally got a view of the river and its location and surroundings, I was more confused than ever. The trip from downtown is heavy with traffic, and the landscape changes immensely. This case matches many that I've written about in the past. The victim is found with severe and life-ending injuries, and the coroner rules it accidental or undetermined. This is very similar to cases I've chronicled of victims found at the bottom of cliffs. They have major injuries. The the the, the, yeah, tongue tied. The determination is normally accidental fall. There are never witnesses. I encourage readers to go to the Can Am Missing Project YouTube page and watch the video we produced on Dr. James McGrogan. Dr. McGrogan was on a winter trail trip with friends when he vanished. He was found weeks later at the bottom of a cliff with severe head trauma. Let's see. The critique to his incident, Dr. McGrogan didn't have his boots on when found. The boots were never found, and this was the middle of the winter. Nobody could explain how he was able to evade extensive helicopter searches with FLIR and ground teams and canine searching for him. The major fact his tracks were never found in the snow. How are these men getting from point to point without being detected? Okay, yeah, that's another point that I have probably mentioned in the past on how people seem to get from point to point mysteriously, and when they're at the end of this point, they're dead under mysterious circumstances. They obviously were carried somewhere by some means. The means, of course, is unclear. Now, I've often talked about people being dematerialized, and they materialize somewhere else, that is like miles and miles away from where they were last seen. I also talk about them that maybe they were carried somewhere but lifted off the ground first. So I'm thinking that maybe he was abducted, or they were abducted by aliens, they were, lifted into the spaceship, carried somewhere, and dropped off somewhere miles and miles away. There are so many variables to what could have happened to these people, including this guy here, that it just blows the mind, because you can't figure out what it was. People keep saying stuff like he was abducted or he was kidnapped. Okay, first of all, this is a grown man. I'm pretty sure he could still hold his own with whoever took him. Now, they said he had propeller striking wounds to the head. So obviously, maybe somebody carried him on a boat and they dumped him into the river. But while they were doing that, his head must have gotten struck by the propeller as they were taking off. Now, how these injuries could have still got on the body is beyond me, because the boat was never found. I would think that if he was struck by a propeller, maybe some of the paint from the propeller or whatever could have been on it might have been traced back to whatever this thing was. I don't know. But still, the fact still remains that he just disappeared. Now, in the beginning of the story, they said that he left to go, I guess he was going out to an excursion, to wherever it is he was going to, and somewhere along the line, he disappeared. So there was a part in here that tells you exactly what he was doing, I think. Let's see how he applied. Okay, now when he first disappeared, he was supposed to be meeting his girlfriend back at his dorm. And somewhere around that time, that's when he disappeared. But they said they got a text from him. His mom got a text from him saying he was too busy, and he's been real busy. He had a busy night, way behind, and then after that was it. And he said, "Be in touch later, love you." And this text, like I said, was, I believe, to his mother. Yeah. The text that he sent was to his mother. He didn't send a text to his girlfriend. So after that, that was it. And then February 28th, let me see. Yeah, he went missing on February 28th, and his body was found. Let me see. I believe his body was found. On March 2nd, 2010. That's what it was. Yeah, March 2nd, 2010. So, and then like the crazy part was when they found the body, he was just wearing a t-shirt, no pants, no shoes. You know, and see, that's another key point in a lot of these cases. Whenever a person goes missing and they're found, they're always half naked. You know, it didn't even say that the body was face down. It just said when the body was found, he was found in just his t-shirt and nothing else. Okay, it just said he pulled him from the river, near Stony Island, and this river was the Calumet River. And the Calumet River was it was very far away. It was like 20 miles south of the Columbia campus. So how he was able to get from that point to the point of Calumet River, which is 20 miles away from his own campus, is beyond me. I don't know how he got there. He didn't have his bike, or he didn't have a bike. So he was either carried there, or he somehow caught a ride there. Nobody knows. But he had his camera, but the camera, of course, was missing, and so was the laptop. So that's why they said he was going to go to the pawn shop to see if it was taken there to get some money off of it. They never found that it was never taken there, so obviously they did away with all his electronics, so that no one could think that they would find. I mean, obviously it's not. Who's to say that he didn't try to catch a picture before, or whatever it was he was saying before he was killed? But they said he had a lot of wounds on the body, but mainly in the head because of he was struck by the propeller of some boat. That's what they said. It was a propeller strike. But where was the boat? And who was out of the boat? Who knows? But it's all just a big mystery because, he disappears. He supposedly sent a text to his mother. And then after that, that was it. At, March 2nd, 2010, they found his body in that little river. And the mystery is, how did he get there in the first place? There's never any evidence to state that somebody put him there. All they find is the wounds with no fingerprints, and the fact that he was half naked with just a t-shirt on. Just like this other guy I told you about in my last post, where the man that was found, well, not the man, but when they found this man's pants, it was like somebody held the pants up, with the legs draping down, and let's just say you had them up high enough for the edge of the rim of the legs of the pants hovering above ground or touching the ground, and you just let them go, and you watch the pants just fall flat, where the legs just buckled all the way down. It buckled until the opening of the pants where you put your legs in just came down on top of it. Now, think about the fact that the belt was unbuckled, so he deliberately was taking his pants off, or he met with some person that was trying to take his pants off. I've heard stories about this ghost called the Glade Bitch. I don't know, maybe there's some kind of a raping ghost out there that lures you into the woods and tries to entice you with sex, and they remove your pants and all this stuff, and then after they are done with you, they kill you. I don't know. But the fact that they only found the pants and a tibia bone and nothing else, where the shoes were missing, that right there is the mystery of all mysteries. The same thing with him. They find his body, but it's like they had a blow to the head that was probably done by a propeller from a boat, but there's no evidence of the boat as far as physical evidence. And like they said, the wallet, his camera, laptop, all that stuff was missing. Okay, so that means no identification, even though they already knew who he was. But why would you take all that stuff? The laptop, the shirt, the wallet, and the camera. If you don't have no use for it, what you gonna steal it for? It doesn't make any sense. You know, and he had no pants and no shoes. The police were immediately baffled. Of course, I would be too. You see all that, but you don't see anything else. You know, and like I said, whenever he tries to get these kind of, just got the evidence from all this stuff, like the toxicology report and the autopsy report. None of that stuff is ever either put out there, or he could never find it. You know, because obviously there's something weird about his case, and it's so weird that they can't even figure out. So they don't want to look dumb, you know, saying that we couldn't figure out what happened to him. They don't want to be labeled as a type of company, a type of organization that can't seem to figure out who killed their son, or whoever the case may be. You know, so even when the parents found they paid $15,000 for a private investigator and a pathologist. Now, see, if they had somebody like Dr. Joe Wallet, he would blow him right out of the water. He would tell him exactly what's wrong. He goes inside and out, you know. But the whole thing is just weird, because for him to turn up dead, but yet there's no evidence to state how he died. And you know, it said he had a broken neck. So obviously, when he was struck by the propeller, and his head just went like boom, like that, and just completely snapped right at the neckline. You know, I'm guessing. Okay. He said like extensive skull fractures, and you know, to the sides of his head, and it said it was both sides of the head. So how is it that you can get skull fractures on both sides of the head? Like, it's almost like he was literally struck on that side. They turned the body around and he was struck again on that side. You know, so I don't know, but you know, and then they said he had a broken bone in his neck. So obviously he was probably either snapped in half, or like I said, it was just broke, or whatever the case may be. Who knows? Now, what could have caused it? I don't know. You know, so now this situation here, with people disappearing and turning up dead in places like this, it doesn't seem like it could be some sort of unknown creature because of the nature of the injuries to the body. But for a person to go missing and you don't know what happened to him, and you can't figure out what happened to him other than seeing the injuries on the body, there was never any person caught or anything. There was never any evidence to indicate that someone was involved in his killing. You know, and for these mysteries or these cases to go unsolved for that long without knowing who did it, this person was clever. Okay, now maybe whoever this person is, it kills people in ways, like I said, where they don't need to have evidence shown to say who it is. They don't want people to find out who they are. That's just how clever they are. They can easily, without thinking, just not leave any evidence. I mean, they are very thorough, or it is very thorough. I don't know. It just goes around killing people all over the world in different ways to make it look like it was something done naturally, like the strike from a boat propeller and stuff like that. You know, but for that person to end up there and you not know, no evidence to state that he was either dragged there or whatever the case may be. These kind of cases are just weird, you know. The element of the case itself is weird, because you hear about all these other stories of how they mysteriously just vanish and are never found. But then when they are found, you find a dead body somewhere hundreds of miles away from where they were last seen. Some bodies are found with no type of damage to the body, none at all. But to find this body and you see a strike from a boat propeller, you know, on both sides of the head, that alone is weird, because if you dumping a body in the water, the propellers they spin this way, not this way. Well, yeah, because it creates that propulsion to where it moves forward. So I've never seen propellers that go this way under the water, you know, because it would basically just make the boat spin around. It wouldn't make it go straight. So I'm thinking that if the body fell into the water and it fell down, the body's going down like this here, and the propeller's here, and it strikes it. So as it's being struck by each propeller, it hits it at one time, and the body starts to spin, and it hits it on that side. So that's the way I'm thinking. The body comes down near the propeller as it gets dumped in the water. The propeller strikes it at one time, and that force of the strike will spin the body around, and it probably hit it so hard and so fast that it snapped the neck, and made that turn more than it did the body. So that could have been where that came from. I don't know. That's just a theory of mine myself. When I didn't really think about it, but it still doesn't make any sense how that person could end up that far, 20 miles away from his own campus. What could he have been doing for him to end up there in the first place? Nobody knows. They just know he left the place, and boom, he ended up there. Maybe he met with some crazy people who wanted to kill him. Maybe he had some beef with somebody. Maybe he was leading a double life. Who knows? But the fact still remains, there's no evidence to state that someone had something to do with his death. That's the key point here. There's no evidence to state someone was involved. And I mean someone. That means a person. So who knows? But that's my time on this. Indeed, a very strange case. And I hope one day we can figure out what is going on here. But as far as that goes, gotta leave it up to the professionals, because the more times people want to look at facts, the more questions are going to come up. I'm not saying, like I said before, I'm not saying the facts are not detrimental to the case. They are. But the facts, by them being so strange, it leads you into that area to make you think these strange things. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna get into more stories about, people disappearing in forests or whatever. This book is basically mainly based in urban areas or rural areas, cities. So as I get into it, I'm pretty sure most of them will end up leading into people disappearing in national parks. That's probably somewhere towards the back. But for right now, everything is focused on different cities all across the country. So it is what it is. The next story that I'm going to read to you is about Brandon Landau, but I'm going to wait until my next post to do all that. So, always imparting, aloha, mahalo, and hui ho. Peace out, guys. Be safe out there and be blessed.